Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and today we're going to talk about my experience with this thing right here, the Switch 2. Now that it's been 1 week with this thing already. First off, just so we got some perspective on this, I've actually got my original Switch here. There we go. So now we can see them together. It's crazy how much now this thing feels significantly more premium than the original Switch. Now, before we get to that, I will just say this is a day one Switch original, right? I got this on launch day, just like I got my Switch 2 on launch day. I think this is possibly one that could be considered one of the greatest consoles of all time. I think other people might disagree. I think this thing is phenomenal, but I never got an upgrade. I never got a Switch Lite. I never got an OLED. I never got like a newer version of one of these. So I was stuck with this thing. And it's weird how much, like I said, premium the Switch 2 feels in comparison. The Joy-Con feel a little bit wobbly. The Joy-Con themselves were a good design at the time. And the screen and everything about this was good at the time for 2017. And even then it was old hardware, right? And then that brings us to this thing, which I really do need to get a screen protector for. But this thing feels incredibly premium in comparison to the old Switch. The Switch 2 has been interesting. Like, just alone, like being able to just pop the Joy-Con off like that with the magnet and stuff, super easily, clips back on super easy, is awesome. So this thing, I mean, there's the back of it as well. Got a better, you can see that there's the better stand on it versus the original stand on that one, which was crap. Also, there's a green controller on here, hence you're going to see it look weird. But this thing in general, right? This console has been a real treat to use. Now, before we get on to the thing itself, I always wanted something like a more powerful Switch. Like a lot of people wanted a more powerful Switch. They wanted something that was going to play their games at higher frame rates, at higher resolutions, all that sort of stuff. A premium screen, controls that feel better. And I will say, these Joy-Con, I didn't think they could get like much better, but they feel significantly better compared to those, and especially the sticks. The sticks are one of the best things. I also, just for clarity, because I haven't just used that, I also got a Pro controller, but I'm going to do a separate video on this thing because this thing is incredible. But yes, so the Switch 2. Let's talk about the actual system itself before we do anything else. Like I said, feels premium. The matte black on everything is really nice with the two colours, the blue and the orange. Real sweet. The Joy-Con themselves, which might be quite hard to see, but the buttons and things, like the buttons feel so nice. Everything about this feels really good. The analog sticks feel good. The buttons feel flush to the actual console. Even the plus and the minus that are raised feel awesome. Let's just grab the other one. It's hard to see really, but the minus and the plus on both of these feel really good. Even the home button, sorry, not the home button, the chat button and the capture button on these controllers also feel super flush. The home's a bit more raised. And then as you can see on the sides, different colours, you've got the different buttons there. The mouse controls, which we'll get to. All in all, these feel so much better. The ZL, ZR are massive. They feel bigger. And so do LNR, they feel like very good. They're still digital buttons, there's only a click to them. And then you've got these extra buttons here, which is what does the magnets. And well, as you can see, it clicks on beautifully. So the system itself, the Joy-Con, the system itself, everything about this system, I've really enjoyed. Now, I'm not one to play in handheld mode that much, but I have experimented with it. Two things that really surprised me was the screen quality upgrade. So let's turn this thing on. Come on. It's not going to show very well on there, but the screen quality is significantly better to my original Switch. And then also something that really surprised me is the sound. So I've currently got Fast Racing open. Honestly, the sound on this thing is awesome. We'll come back to like the actual UI and things in a minute. The sound quality, the visual quality, like for someone who's only had an original Switch for as long as they've had, getting this feels like an upgrade. Now, this machine is exactly that. It is an upgrade. It's like buying a new phone. It's like the NES to the SNES, right? So the SNES. you are getting a more powerful version, right, with a very, well, pretty much the same form factor. The play on the go, play with the kickstand, or play as a console. Some people are going to look at this and think, well, why do I need to upgrade? And to be honest, the launch of a system is never the best time to upgrade unless you've never had a Switch. If you never had a Switch before, then the Switch 2 is a perfect time to jump in because so many games will run better natively without any updates, things like that. Then there's the games that will run better because of updates, and then there's obviously the new games that are coming out. So we had Street Fighter, Cyberpunk, all that sort of stuff. For me, like being a big Nintendo fan that I am, I want this because this thing means that we're going to get the experiences that I haven't been able to play. Street Fighter 6 on this thing, awesome. I haven't put a huge amount of time into it, but it's a game that I really like. I played it on PC, and now I can play it in the living room with friends. Fantastic. Cyberpunk, I still haven't, at the time of recording, I haven't tested it yet. I do plan on doing that. There's going to be things like Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming to this system that makes me very excited. My main two games that I've personally played are Mario Kart and Fast Racing, or Fast Fusion as it's called, and I've had an absolute blast with them. I've enjoyed playing those games. The new system, I can see why you need more power to play them. But I think this is a thing for more enthusiastic people. This thing here is now, these things are quite cheap. I say cheap, they're like still 200 to 250 quid for a regular one. Perfect time to jump in, get one of these almost, and just buy a ton of games for it. But if you have a Switch 2, you get all of that for the most part. There's some games that still need testing on a more premium machine. So, let's talk about the actual home screen and things like that. Because that's the thing, as long as you want that fresh feeling, what you're seeing here is very similar to what you would see on a regular Switch. There's not much different here. So in terms of look and stuff, it's not that much different. Nintendo are clearly trying to do the whole family thing. You have a Switch 2, right? Because you can beam your games to, or some games to Switch 1. A lot of the same stuff works. It is more of an upgrade in that sense. But everything about this is wonderful. Like, it makes all the right sounds. It's smooth as silk. I'm not going to show it here, but the actual eShop, which was a huge problem on the Switch 1, runs so much faster on here. I was scrolling down games, it was just loading them, and I was like, oh wow, okay, we've got a lot better hardware. It's everything that I personally wanted. I really enjoy the system. I've not had any issues with the system itself at all. I've been playing games on it. I found that the download speeds in my area have been quicker. One thing I haven't tested is plugging a cable in and doing that. But, I've been recording tons of footage. I've been playing lots of Mario Kart Fast, things like that. I've been testing out some of the Zelda games, and everything's running beautifully. Tested out Civ as well. That ran beautifully. The actual system I've had zero issues with. Nothing. But, again, more of a specialist. It's like having an iPhone and getting a iPhone 6 years down the line, right? Or in this case, 8 years down the line. There are going to be, I think the launch lineup, like, while there's a lot of games, it's still maybe a little bit weak for some people. So I think this is finding that time to jump in to this. But overall, the actual system, fantastic. Fun to play in handheld mode, fun to play on a screen. It's more of the same. Like, don't think it isn't. But if you want to play those bigger experiences, if you want to play your older games faster, which I do, I've got a huge back catalogue to play through, this is great. Now, I am going to talk about one thing that I don't think is that good, and that's the dock. Now, why don't I think the dock's very good? Well, the dock itself is nice. Again, it's premium. It's got the light on it down on the side. On the back, I've got the back off at the moment. We've got cables coming out of this. It does have an Ethernet cable, which is good. But what I have found with the dock is when I put the Switch 2 into the dock, it doesn't feel that stable. It feels a bit wobbly. I don't know if you can see that. I know it's sat on a USB-C, so it's going to be, but I would expect this to sit flush and also not move so much. Same with the Switch 1, I believe. I do think it looks good in the dock like that. It suits it. But I would say that the dock is the weakest thing about the whole system anyway. And I think that is kind of a bit of a shame because I think the rest of it feels premium. I would love to see a matte white one done of these. I think black suits the system, but I think we need Joy-Cons that could be different colours as well. That would be really, really good. And we also need to see just like, or even the rings doing the orange and blue. Maybe we have ones that are different colours like that and stuff. yeah, that is honestly just my thoughts on the system. Don't buy this if you, wanted something that feels completely brand new. It does in a lot of ways, but it also doesn't because, again, it's just an upgrade on the actual system. It's a Switch 2. It's exactly what the name implies. It is a better version of a Switch. And I think for some people that'll be enough, and some people ain't. That isn't going to be enough because they wanted something that feels fresh. They want that Nintendo experience. The biggest new thing that this thing does, you can't really see it, but it's mouse mode. And I've tested it with one game and it works really well. That is your biggest gimmick with this system. You get a better screen, you get better audio, you get a bigger Joy-Con. Everything just feels better. But that might not be enough for you, especially in the UK where you have to drop £400 on this system. You might prefer something that's more of a regular system like an Xbox or a PlayStation. Or you might be like, okay, that's just a bit out of my price range for what I'm getting right now. I do think, in time, when a lot more games get announced of this thing will be an absolute beast just like the Switch. Now, it all depends if Nintendo and third parties can put out some premium content. The Switch obviously had Odyssey, it had Breath of the Wild, it had ARMS, it had Splatoon 2 and 3. There are, I'm just going to chuck it in there, Advance Wars was great. There was a ton of big experiences that came out to the Switch, Smash obviously, and that was awesome. And now, right now, we've got a new Mario Kart, we've got Fast, we've got Street Fighter 6, we've got Cyberpunk. There are some big experiences here, and if you've never played them before, fantastic for you as a new person. It's exciting. But if you have played these things and you're looking for other experiences, well, you still have a huge library of games to play. But I think it's best to wait and see what Nintendo are bringing out. We've just had a new Splatoon thing announced. I'm sure they have a ton more games up their sleeve. But it's a bit of a waiting game. But if you are interested, I do recommend this as a system. It is maybe a little bit pricey. I think it's valued right for what the system has in it. And bear in mind, the specs in this are significantly more than the specs in this. I do think it's very good. I've had an absolute blast with it. I can't deny that. Just be aware that, what are you trying to get from it? Maybe you want to wait until you see more games, or maybe you're just like, you know what? I never had a Switch. I want to buy one of these now. I've got the money. This is the best play to play pretty much all those games on. Like I said, even natively, it's updating them. Anyway, there's my honest thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2 after 1 week. I've had a lot of fun with just the system in general. I love how it plays. Like I said, I want to do a video on the Pro Controller because this thing's incredible, and which will be coming hopefully sooner rather than later. And hopefully this is useful to people that are still on the fence about Switch, if they're thinking about Switch 2, if they're thinking about getting one or not. So there we go. Anyway, that'll do it for me today then, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this and more Switch 2 stuff, hit subscribe because there's still plenty to come. And I will see you in the next video.